welcome to my channel. My name is Elizabeth and I hope to inspire you with all of my bike and travel adventures. In this video, I'm taking you on the second day of my trip from Utrecht all the way to the coast of the Netherlands. And I can say that this second day is going to be a challenging one. So let's dive in. As already mentioned in my previous video, this night in the tent was a tough one. Because of the cold temperature, I only slept around 2 hours. So again, I want to emphasize, if you're staying in the tent, then please bring some warm clothes. It will help you a lot. Even though I had slept very little, it was now time to get up. So with my sleepy head, I started the day. I changed into my bike outfit, attached my bags to the bike and packed my tent.
A few moments later.
And then I was ready to go. But before diving straight into the trip of today, let me first give you a quick review of the campsite I stayed on. Overall, I really liked this campaign because there was enough space to find a spot for my tent, and the showers and toilets were very nice and clean. And I think the best thing was that there were also picnic tables available, so I could hang out there and use it for my cooking. Okay, let's now start with the second day of my trip from Utrecht to the coast of the Netherlands. The day starts with lovely weather as I'm leaving Rotterdam. And as I'm already loving the city, the weather makes it even more beautiful. And here I'm passing the Euromast, which you can visit during your stay in Rotterdam. Here I was for a moment very confused about the route because it showed a path where I only saw water and nowhere near a bridge. Perhaps you're already guessing what the case was here. There was a tunnel made for bikers and it had a really steep escalator. The tunnel is called the Maas Tunnel and is around 1.3 kilometers long. As I have arrived at the other side of the tunnel, I decided to take the elevator upstairs instead of the escalator because going down I found a bit scary with my heavy loaded bike. Coming out of the tunnel, before moving on with my trip, I really wanted to enjoy the view for a second. And then I continued my trip. Leaving Rotterdam for real, I faced the first bump of this trip. As I initially was confused whether I took the right direction, it became apparent that the route that I followed, which I found online, involved an error, as it led me to the highway. And when I needed to decide what to do next, it began to rain. As if finding a new route while biking isn't enough of a challenge already. And because there was no place nearby to find shelter, I decided instead of going back to take the road I took the first time and let Google Maps decide my route. It's raining, rain. Hallelujah, it's raining, rain. There we go. You perhaps wonder why I don't use Google Maps all the time for making my bike routes. Well, that's because in my experience, Google Maps makes quite often mistakes in doing so. When I was training for my bike trip to Paris, I used Google Maps a couple times to make my route, and I experienced a couple times that the route included roads that were not allowed for bikers to bike on. And that is really inconvenient when you're biking and you have to remake your route while bike. Using specialized bike sites to make my bike routes, I almost never had such an experience. Apart from this route. The road Google Maps gave me this time was luckily a good one, as the trip of today gave me already enough of a challenge. As I was soaked by the rain, the sun decided to come back, which made the trip a lot more fun. And also the route, which was beautiful, created a smile on my face. However, I need to be honest that also my body felt really tired after the rough night in the tent. And about this topping off being tired, I want to say a little bit more. Because I do feel that, especially in the first days of your bikepacking trip, you will face that your body is more tired than usual. However, this also of course depends on how much you have trained beforehand and also how much kilometers you planned for each day. In my experience, if you haven't planned too many kilometers in a day, you will be fine. After a couple of days, your body is used to the biking rhythm and your body also is getting stronger every day, which is a great feeling. However, not having a good night of sleep is tough. So again, I want to emphasize having a good sleep setup, having good sleep clothes is really important because a good preparation gives you the best chance on a good night of sleep. And I say chance because sleeping on a campsite in a tent, there are always circumstances that you cannot control yourself. For example, noise from the surroundings or a lot of wind. I always have earplugs with me and sometimes that works really well, but sometimes it's just not sufficient. As my tired legs continued to bike, the weather decided to turn its favors against me. Firstly, the wind became stronger and stronger and then it started to rain again. And lastly, also began to thunder. As thunder is quite dangerous when being on the bike, I decided when the thunder approached to find shelter. When the thunder seemed over, I decided to move on. And then it was time for lunch. And as my body was quite tired and the thunder also scared me a bit, I could really use this break. When getting back on the bike, I noticed that the already heavy wind had increased a lot, which made the biking even harder for my already tired body. And however the route was beautiful, it was also a route where I was exposed a lot to the wind. The whole route I was facing had wind as I was biking southwest and the wind came from the opposite direction. However, the good thing was it was not raining. The more I was surrounded by water, the more I felt like I was almost there. However, that was not the case. As you can see, biking through this area, I crossed a lot of other bikers. So far, the route Google Maps gave me went well, apart from this bumpy road. Leaving this bumpy road, I again had a lot of headwind. It's around 20 kilometers to my final destination and I'm struggling. It's tough, my legs are so tired, I am so tired and the wind is so strong, like the whole ride until now. I had like the front wind and you can hear it perhaps, but it's a lot. That there. As you can imagine, this part of the route was extremely hard to bike with all the wind. And for a moment I biked together with these two other bikers, but after a while I could not keep up with their pace. At this point I really wanted to pause every 5 minutes to give my legs a break, but I knew if I did that it would take me forever to finish this trip. Finally, I made it to the place where I had planned to get an ice cream. And however I'm familiar in this area, I initially made a mistake as to where this ice cream place was, as I thought it came much earlier on the road. Being able to see it here therefore really motivated me to keep my legs moving. With some new food in my body and my water bottle filled, I jumped back on the bike. At this point of the trip, you probably can imagine I was not literally jumping on the bike. But however, the ice cream did help to improve the spirit again. This, however, didn't last for long. To be honest, at this point I was just really done with all the bike stuff. I just wanted to call my parents and ask them if they could pick me up. This first camping experience, including a really rough night of sleep, a lot of rain and the thunder, which I hadn't experienced before being on the bike, which therefore also scared me a bit, and made me question if biking to Berlin was still something I wanted to do. As this day made me realize that bikepacking can also be very, very tough. As these thoughts are floating through my head, I approach a village called Renesse, which is a place close to my final destination. And as I now really feel that I'm almost there, my legs begin to pedal a bit faster. I want to address here that I find it fascinating to experience while biking how much your mental states influences your body. At this moment, for example, I first felt like I could barely even bike anymore, and when I biked in this familiar place and knew that I was almost there, that completely changed. Arriving at my parents' house in a village near the coast, I felt relieved. As my mother perhaps had noticed the high level of challenge of this trip, she was waiting outside on the street when I arrived, which was really sweet. And here I made it. As I sat down for a while, my doubts about my bike trip to Berlin slowly disappeared. I realized that as not every day is going to be a beautiful day, of course not every day is going to be as rough as today was. And I of course also have some more time to find a better sleeping setup that hopefully will make the nights less rough than I had on this trip. As I said these things to myself, I felt more positive about the trip to Berlin, and I could even have a bit of a laugh of the trip I had today. That was it for this video. In the next video, I will talk about how I pack my bags. And in the videos after that one, I will finally take you on the trip to Berlin, which I'm so excited for. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. Thank you for watching and see you in the next one.